Ben Hamer, please, and an update on his progress. Does he have an opportunity this weekend to be back with you?
I don't think that he will be ready. He is now trying to train with the goalkeeper coach without using the leg because he has the problem in the ground. Then the normal situation is that we continue with the same two keepers, with Scofield and Pereira.
Do you have any feeling as to when he might be able to return? And is he days, weeks away from the sounds of that?
Yeah, I think it's an important injury, but we think that if he has today, he continue making the plan of the job without without kicking the ball. And tomorrow he rests. We think that the next week he will be ready to train with the group.
Okay, so he could be back for Boxing Day. Could possibly be in contention for Boxing Day.
Yeah, I think he will be with the squad for the next week.
Anybody else getting any closer, or anybody else a concern for you ahead of the weekend?
No, I think we have exactly the same number of players. We have the same ability, the same disposition of the players. Everyone can continue in the same way. Something that is positive, knowing that in this number of games you can lose some players in the middle of the way.
A couple of days on now, can you give us your assessment, having, I'm sure, watched it back, of the Coventry game and what you've made to it a few days on now?
I was watching. We always analyze the games and stuff. We always analyze the game with the players. We always analyze the individual performance of the player, and it was what we were doing. I think it was exactly what I was talking after the game. Very tough game. One game that, to take something positive, the point demand to us a lot because we put a lot of effort in this game and only we could take 1 point. I think from the defensive point of view, the team was very solid, and from the attack point of view, we weren't enough able to avoid the pressing of them that they did in the last third of the pitch. That's why we couldn't create the chances that always we want to create.
You obviously rested some players at the weekend against Bournemouth, presumably with the view of having those players a bit fitter and healthier and in a better position for the Coventry game. In hindsight, would you do that again? Would you do that in a similar congested period down the line?
I don't know what I will do, because I think we need to analyze every game. We need to analyze the decision that we are making. So, for example, some of the decision in the game of Bournemouth was from the medical advice, because we know some players, if we were thinking to play with some players in a row and play that had an injury before and they feel some symptoms to can feel something that is no injury but is close, we need to make a decision about this. For example, we didn't play with Hope because Hope was injured. We didn't play with Pipa because Pipa had the problem. We were thinking to rest 18 because 18 has a problem in the knee. So a lot of the season has a lot of reason in the back that, of course, I don't want to explain, because at the same time, I think we need to use the squad that we have, because if we are not able to use our squad, it means that doesn't mean any type of sense. So I didn't play with any player that is not being part of the squad. Then always our decisions depend about how we analyze the situation from the individual point of view and the collective point of view too.
How big a positive was the clean sheet for individuals such as, I'm thinking your centre halves in Edmonds Green and Sarr as well? How big a positive was that for them mentally, do you think, the other night after the defeat at the weekend?
I think the clean sheet was very positive for two reasons. The first one, because with the clean sheet allow us to win 1 point in the table, because in this game we don't get the clean sheet and we don't score any goal, you don't win any point in the table. And the second thing that you say, to recover the feeling that the spirit of the team in defense that we need to have, and the level of organization that we need to try to continue improving, because never in football everything is done. We need to continue improving in attack, like we were watching in the last game, and we need to continue improving in defense, like we were watching in the previous games.
Can I ask you a bit about Ryan Schofield? We've just spoken to him. How impressed have you been by the way that he's able to just drop into the side when you've needed him? And then obviously he's had to sit on the bench at times, but then drop in again at short notice. How impressed have you been by that?
More than impressive is, like, we know that I said before that I have a lot of confidence in the three keepers that we have here in the club, that I think this is something that no other squad are going to have three keepers that can play in a good level. It's something that I feel that we have as a club. And of course, we know that Schofield didn't have a lot of experience in the championship, but he is showing that he has the level to it. He has all this level, but at the same time, football always challenge for this level. So he need to continue be very concentrated, very focused, trying to continue give the level that he, for example, he gave the other day to win one position in the team.
And he said that it's demanding position being a goalkeeper in a Carlos Corberán side. You expect quite a lot from them with their feet as well in terms of their distribution.
But not because I was keeper, not because this is like I wasn't professional keeper means that I was a goalkeeper. So I think what we expect from the keeper is to help the team. First of all, the keeper need to make the save because a lot of time football is changing a lot, and now sometimes we prefer to. It looks like we prefer to put one midfielder as a keeper just for the distribution of the ball, and this is not true. For me, it would be a high mistake. So first of all, the keeper need to make save. Second, for me, he need to control the box. Another option, he need to support the back of the line of the defenders. And at the same time, he need to help the team to be the first attacking of the team. So for me, there are four topics, 4 areas where the keeper need to be important. And what we need to do is to develop our keeper to be a full goalkeeper with the option to give a good answer in these 4 areas that I told you.
Do you prioritise any of those areas, though? Is the number one still make the save?
The 4 areas. Because in the moment you don't have one of these 4 points, of course, you are going to have less answer to what the game is going to demand, because it's not what I demand, it's what the game demands. Of course, some keepers are ready to play more long. For them, they feel more comfortable playing long than to playing short, and other keepers playing short than to play long. I am watching Ryan Scofield that a lot of times I would like him to play more time long, but he's taking some risk, taking time, trying to play short because he trusts in him. But always always when you are playing the pitch, even if we have one style, the decision arrives from the player, and when the player they feel the confidence to do something is when they do. It's not because they are following the instruction of the players when the things are positive or when the things are negative. Is the 99% of the decisions you can have an influence in the decision of the players, but at the end, it's the player what is watching in the pitch who has to make the decision to use the advantage when they are watching the advantage in one space or in another space. So I think a lot of the decision, for example, of Ryan Scofield came from himself, not from my advice.
And that's why maybe, and I don't mean just with Ryan Scofield, we see you getting frustrated at times, throwing water bottles like the one you've got in your hand down and around in the dugout when you maybe perceive them to make that wrong decision, would you say?
But no, I made this because I am maybe angry with myself, with something that I am not watching enough, more than with the players. It's like sometimes I am very angry with myself to see why I couldn't change something because of what I watched that one opponent is creating problems to us. But of course, what we need to do as a coach is just to be focused about how we can help the players and control our emotions, the positive ones and the negative ones, to continue to be focused about how we can help our squad.
Are you still learning on that front to control your emotions as a manager then on the sidelines?
I hope I will be improving on my life, because it will mean that always you have the feeling that you want to improve and the feeling that you frustrate for things that it means that you always have the curiosity to try to improve. The day that I don't have this feeling, it will mean that I will finish my career as a coach.
Josh Koroma, how much do you feel you're missing him at the moment and his explosiveness, his unpredictability?
I think Koroma was one of our important players. He was in the first 11 of the team, just because for me he deserves to be in the first 11 of the team, because nobody gave any type of present to him. We put the standards to him very high from we are right here to the club, but I think he gave the right answer about himself in terms of the behaviors, in terms of control of the weight, in terms of the continue improving himself, and that's why he won the gap in the first 11, because he was doing a very good job to be there. At the same time, he took one responsibility, was the responsibility to assist the team, and at the same time to finish the action of the team. And a lot of the finishes were goals, and with a lot of these goals, we won a lot of the games. Because I remember just now in Swansea, we were draw, and he received one ball on the side, he driving inside, and he scored the goal, and the goal was very, very important for the team because we won 3 points in a very complicated stadium versus Millwall. He he scored the first goal, for example, too. That was one of the most important goals on the game, because after there are goals arrive in the extra time, for example, for the team. The day of Middlesbrough, he scored the goal too, and was an important goal for the team. So it's not fair and it's not true if I say that he wasn't an important player for us. He took one responsibility that is very difficult to take, that is responsibility to finish a lot of time the action and scoring the goals. And when you are missing some of the players, what we need to do is increase our responsibilities, because we need to continue being a dangerous team from the attack point of view. And we know that it's going to come taking more responsibility, first of all, to making the movements to arrive to this situation, and after finishing the action in the right way to can score the goals.
Does he maybe provide you with something, though, that you lack when he's not in the side, that maybe your other players don't necessarily provide you with?
I think, first of all, we have played 2 games with one save that maybe don't allow us to play with a specific wingers. Maybe Bournemouth, yes, but the other day, no, because we were playing versus one opponent they were playing with 4 players in the middle, and was to follow the player in charge of all the wide area of all the wide space. Then depend about the contest, depend about the game. But of course, like I told you, the responsibility that he had was important, and it has to challenge to us, because now we need to solve the situation with the play that we have right now. So it's a challenge. It never can be excused. These things can happen in the football. Unfortunately, happened for Josh Koroma, not only because he was an important player, because for me, as a human being and as a football player, is showing that he can be an important player too.
And finally, from me, how good a side are Watford, do you think?
I think Watford has one of the strongest, for me, squads in the league, and that's why I don't need to talk by them. They are talking by themselves, staying in one position, in a high position in the table. But like always I say, we need to be concentrated about with things, how we can try to command the game, how we can try to stop any of the very dangerous players that they have, because for me they have a very high number of quality players. They have a very good wingers that can balance very well the pitch on the sides, and what we need to do is to be thinking how we can stop the strengths that they have, and at the same time how we can use every option, because at the end all the teams in the league, and we are included, we have some possibilities that the opponent can exploit.
Good stuff. Thank you, Carlos. All the best tomorrow.
Thanks, Jonathan. Stephen, you pick up from there, please.
Hi, Carlos. Watford tend to keep things very tight away from home. They don't concede many goals on the road. Does that pose a particular challenge for your side, especially?
I think, like I told you, we need to be. I try to analyze the games, watching the behaviors of the opponent, more than if they are playing at home or they are playing away. I think they are a solid team in defense. It's for me, one of the strengths that this team has, because they are solid, because for me, the defense with good level of defenders, and at the same time, it's a team, it's a squad that they can be more compact, trying to use the counter-attack. They can use more the early attacks in areas using the strikers and the wingers, or they can attack more on the sides, trying to combine on the side with the incorporation of the fullbacks, because they have an offensive fullbacks, and with the skills of the wingers, because they have unbalanced wingers with a lot of 1-versus-1. So I think it's a team that has a lot of possibilities, but at the same time, we need to, if they are compact, I think we will try to control the game more, having the ball and trying to attack them.
Is it a concern in some games against teams that do sit deep, that sometimes you're unable to break down the opposition and find that creative spark?
This is one of the challenges in football, but this type of game, I have watching a lot of time this type of games. Now I cannot be watching a lot of football, maybe of Premier League or First League in Spain. I am very focusing to watch Champions League games. For example, the one game that I was watching, Manchester City Tottenham, that Tottenham used a couple of awesome transitions to win the game for 2-0. For City, for example, was not easy to break the last part of the team. So always is a type of team, a type of game that is not easy. Even when you have the ball, it's not easy to beat one line of 5 defenders, and especially when they accumulate many players to avoid any type of advantage. I think Coventry did very well from the defensive point of view, because they stopped our option. At the same time, like you say, we didn't do enough well, because if this is our challenge, we never think that we did well when we didn't create chances, and we are going to take the responsibility that we need to take, because if not, we don't improve. I can tell you that it's a complicated game to beat this type of defenders, but now is the moment to give the reaction when the situations are difficult. So what we are going to continue doing is analyze the behaviors that we need, trying to exploit some spaces that maybe you don't see in this type of situation, but there are the possibility is there, and we need to make the movements and the coordination and the positions that allow us to can create a chance.
We touched on Ryan Schofield earlier, the confidence you have in him. I think Romani Edmonds-Green has generally done well since he's come into the team as well. Those two players who could look to establish their place in the first team over the rest of the season?
I think they are giving now the answer that they have to give. But after football, we cannot say that everything is for always, because it depends about the answer that the players are going to give us. And I think this is the best that we need to do. It's the same for the coaches, and it's the same exactly for the players. What we need to prove is that we have the skill to continue giving the answer that the team needs and the championship demands.